Fortunately, the operator was not injured, nor were they terminated because of that action. They're actually given a promotion to a supervisory role in the infrastructure department, therefore became my boss. You can actually see where the bucket of the cab has been squashed down onto the, the bucket on the back has been squashed down onto the cab slightly. This is the main service road where all the big machines come down to the MEM workshop, fix quickly. No low-grade ore is exported from Tom Price. It is all considered to be high-grade. Just means that it goes through a few more steps. First stop is that structure on the top. They'll reverse up to a very large concrete barrier, deposits out. Those rocks are then removed and broken up by rock breakers. Then they'll go back through into primary crushers, which break them up even further. And then they'll move on down through the conveyor belt system into the crusher houses and screen and wash areas. This big building here on the right is the high-grade fines, screen and wash house. This is the last building that the fine ore comes into contact with before it's put on the stockpile ready for export. Come through underneath these conveyors. This building on our left is the high-grade crusher house. Very, very dirty, dusty, noisy environment in here. Has its own dust extraction system to try and keep the dust down as much as possible. All your PPE, your personal protective equipment that you're issued with, it's mandatory that you're wearing it at all times. If not, you will end up with that window seat. We roll past the wall here on the left, you'll actually hear the crushers in motion. I couldn't imagine working in there for a full 12-hour shift. And on the end here is the dust extraction system. That's why big crane in there behind it. We've had an awful lot of shutdowns here in the last few months for replacement of equipment, machinery. You can always tell when we've had a shut because all the new stuff, give it a few months and it's a rusty brown like everywhere else. We're now entering what they call the low-grade processing area. As I said, no low-grade ore leaves Tom Price, but this place has always been called the low-grade. There's a lump ore crusher house in front of us. He's just checking the vehicles out as they go by. Not a care in the world, those fellas. Because when the belts stop, everything stopped. It goes into the wash and screen house, which is this next building on the left, before it goes through a final 3 stages, which you just have to bear with me for a few moments. They didn't make this place very user-friendly for a vehicle of this length. With my manager this afternoon about the big scratch down the left side when I take it back to the depot. The big pond directly in front of us, this is called the tailings pool. Sediment impurities ends up at the end of the processing. The water is then recycled and reused time and time again. It's recycled. That pond is set up like an infinity pool, much like you'd find at some luxurious hotel. But I rest assure you that there's nothing luxurious about that pond at all. The sediment, the impurities then is shipped out on the conveyor belts from that central pump out to the tailings pile off the end there to our right. They use those tailings for windrow maintenance and construction and road maintenance. Anybody? Up on it. This is the electrical workshop. Any electrician that works here will tell you it's the busiest little workshop in the whole site. But as we roll past, if you look through the door, you'll notice it's business as usual. Not a lot's happening in there at all. But in fairness, that's because they're all out there working. They're all very, very busy people. We've all got great sense of humour as well. Actually had one on the tour the other day to ring one of his work colleagues on shift that day. And as we drove past that door, there was a gentleman standing in the... All the girls and guys up here, and 2 families of ducks that have taken up residence on that pond. A couple of boats with the gentlemen chancing their arm to catch a fish or 2. And there's also a shark in there as well. So the lumpur goes through this building here on the right, through a final 3 stages before it's placed on the stockpile ready for export. Production supervisor tells us to best explain it in layman's terms, so that's what I'll do. Make it easier for everybody. But just before we get to that building, there's a little road that truck's just gone down on the left here. This road is the coach driver's nemesis. Simply because if you're not familiar with the tour you're on or the journey you're taking, and you make just a pure misjudgment and don't see to remove as much impurity as possible before it moves on to the next stage. The next stage is called the cyclones. After this conveyor belt we're coming under, and that is like a huge... The lumpur, when finished, then travels on this conveyor we're going to come under now, and we'll travel out to one of 2 stackers we have on site, to the lumpur stockpile, which is the ones like workers here who hand rocks or blocks from the rocks that came off the top of the hill. So it's been there for well over 70 years, required very little, if any, maintenance at all. Performed. It's also where any use samples will come for assay from new dig sites. These samples arrive on pallets in Hessian bags with a GPS location and a depth stamped on them as to where they were found. And after a series of tests involving some very expensive equipment, they will submit a report to mine management, who will make the final decision whether or not to continue or cease operations in that area. Produce 28 million tonnes of iron ore annually. If you combine that with the Western Turner projects and the Marandoo operations, which are considered bucket wheel reclaimer, it's a vertical wheel with 13 buckets on it. Each one of those buckets picks up 4 tonnes a time, deposits under the conveyor belt, and then loaded up through the hopper and onto the train. It's a very ominous looking machine, let me tell you, especially in the early hours of the morning when it's sitting in its parking spot and all those big teeth staring at you. Just to give you an idea, sitting at the edge of this road here. Come down the hill here, if you look you'll see a light on. This is the operator's cabin for loading the trains when they come underneath them. And you'll also see the drapes that give it the... It's the operator's cabin, and that's the drapes just in front of that to near. What spillage there is picked up and then put back through the system. Parked up under a series of 6 large bins, fully operated and opened. The cars are filled. The train will then move forward to the next 6 and repeat until the train is fully loaded. It takes about 2 hours to fill a train using that method. of the Lumpur stockpiles we're looking at now.
이건 다 선적 대기 중이네.
So when a train does come in, you may see the front end of it underneath that hopper, and the rear end will be parked right out there by the Those conveyors to look after their very, very busy operators. They do recycle the old conveyor belts. One of the end products, the children's playground equipment. Tour, is this tunnel safe, even with a fully loaded train on it? That is a picture of a cow. This is, especially if the weather's too inclement and it's too wet, too hot. And often in the early hours of the morning you find a couple of them, so every now and then you do have to give them a bit of a hurry up. So we normally just hit them with one of these and they just turn around. The scaffold-like heavy vehicle wash pad, all the vehicles that come out of the pit area are cleaned as best they can before they enter the workshop. It's a very clean environment in there. Any vehicle that doesn't come up to the scale or size of these big rigs is considered a light vehicle while on site. There's the float over there, parked up. It's what travels down. I think from memory there was another one here, ready for this big digger to go onto. Light vehicle workshop on them have got a Toyota badge. They have an exclusive contract with Toyota. Back. They don't fully load them for wear. Mine vehicles here on the left would have been a really bumpy ride around on that thing. Out of service now, he's looking a bit deflated in there. Lifts and semi-trailers and trucks being loaded and unloaded. This building on the hill here was part of the original administratively used. They won't some service personnel on site. It was also the place you used to have to report for your drug and alcohol testings in the mornings. Rio Tinto employees are now tested randomly by swab at their individual price itself. At the last census that they had, which was some 3 years ago, we have 2 daycare centres here, 2 in town, so most denominations are catered for. Residents pop up every now and then. Wonderful job maintaining all the public open areas. If you're at the caravan park, that first big pond you see, into town as required. Trying to share their lunch. Lots of our local residents have hurt themselves, sprains and strains and the odd broken ankle and leg. And if they can't lift you out manually, credit union, numerous small gift shops, etc. Can't even get a haircut in Tom Price. So, because for many years it's been questionable the lack of funding to maintain good fuel levels while you're here. Something like that had been never heard of happening before. Never heard of anything like it happening since. Definitely experience for me. Said at the beginning of the tour, the town, everybody found it interesting and enjoyable and informative.